Hi, Jade. It's nice to meet you, and thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you again for being here. Jade, before we dive in, can you tell me a bit about yourself, how you discovered carnivore? How did it all start?
Well, let's see. It's kind of complicated. I grew up eating like very standard American processed food, that sort of thing. And then at 12, I became a vegetarian, and I stayed a vegetarian for about 15 years until I got pregnant with my first son. And at that point, I, for some reason, really started craving turkey sandwiches. So that kind of broke me free of that, but I still wasn't eating very much meat at all. And my health just kept getting worse and worse over the years, especially after having more kids. And it basically, I was at a point where I was desperate for something to change. And I think I think like a lot of people, probably the first person I saw was Michaela Peterson, and I don't even think I really gave it that much thought at first. And then I started seeing more and more videos from different people, and the more I looked into it, the more I was like, okay, I'm ready for something to change. Let's try this crazy thing out. So,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. 15 years vegetarian. So would you say the reason you jumped into carnivore is because your son, right? Like,
mhm.
did was it like some specific health issue that your son had, or was it something that you had? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was kind of a combination of both. For it was a lot more dramatic for me. It's actually funny. Just a couple years after I went vegetarian, I don't know. I started developing an anxiety disorder. I developed asthma. I had a hard time, and I mean, it wasn't a lot of weight, but I had a hard time keeping like an extra 20 pounds off. And I don't know. It's just like my mental health just got harder and harder over the years. And at that point, when I had my son, my energy was so bad that when I was pregnant, I just quit working entirely because I just couldn't keep up with the fatigue from first trimester and trying to do everything. I couldn't even figure out how anyone else was doing it. I was so tired all the time. It was just awful. And then for him, there was nothing. He was a very healthy baby. There was nothing really wrong when he was very little. And then as he got older and was more like toddler, he started having like cavities, and I had never had a cavity in my life. So this was very, very odd to me, especially because I thought we were eating so much better than I had grown up eating. So it didn't make sense at all. So I figured something had to be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious because so you're 15 years vegetarian, and you jumped into carnivore. You mentioned also like seeing like videos of Michaela Peterson and probably other like influencers, right? How long did you do your research like before jumping into carnivore? It took me like months, right? Like, what about for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely took months. Even the transition, I think it took us about 6 months to fully, from when we started just incorporating more meat to when we finally had everything cut out. It was about 6 months. So I did, but the thing is, when I find something that I'm interested in, I tend to dive in like all the way. So I was just nonstop watching like carnivore content for like probably a good 6 weeks before I was like, all right, that's it. Like we're doing this. I've got enough. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like when I was doing my research, right? Because I'm curious about like the good and the bad when it comes to the whole lifestyle, the diet. And then I was worried about the oxalate dumping part. Like were
Mhm.
you researching any specific parts of the carnivore, or like looking at the negative side or like the positive sides? I think for me, I was looking at the negative side because I was worried I might die with this oxalate dumping. But for
Yeah,
you,
I
yeah.
I definitely prepared. Like we got like electrolytes, potassium, and bought the like I think a 25 pound bag of Redmond salt to get to just like make sure we were set up. And I was looking at things like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I have to have a piece of dark chocolate, so it's not that bad, you know. Like, so
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what
mostly I
made you
was.
switch to?
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. What is it?
I was gonna say mostly I was just hopeful that after hearing all the benefits that people had, that whatever problems we ran into, we could solve if the benefits were that good. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they were.
absolutely.
So,
Um, so what made you switch in the beginning, like before you were carnivore, like when you became vegetarian? You mentioned you saw a couple of videos, and then I think teenager you said you became a vegetarian, right? Like what was it? Maybe I'll look at it like on YouTube or something. Yeah.
yeah. Gosh, it's I was 12, so I hardly remember, but I just remember seeing. I'm not even sure where I saw it. I feel like it might have been school, but I can't figure out what opportunity that would have been. But I saw a PETA video, basically of like I'm sure it's the same thing that all the vegans, put out there to show each other with the like factory farming and like skinning animals for fur. And I love animals. I was an avid animal lover as a kid too, always. And it just broke my heart. And I was like, well, I can't consciously do that anymore. Of course, I was 12, so I didn't really understand the implications of like agricultural farming or that. Well, I was also so disconnected from like regenerative farming, and that there are practices outside of that that are much better. And I don't know, I lived in the suburbs. I didn't really know much about it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Wow. Like I'm always curious about the vegans and the vegetarians. I think it sparks my curiosity like every time, because to me, like vegans and vegetarians are like the extreme opposite, side of carnivore, right? So I'm always interested to hear your story. You also mentioned about the anxiety. I feel like with anxiety, I didn't even know I've had it. And when it disappeared, I realized I've had it and it's
Yeah.
just gone. And then my motivation, like in life, just like kind of boosted. Like, I'm thinking, like,
Yeah.
I have this limitless approach in life. I can talk to people like comfortably. My hands doesn't get cold, or I'm not nervous anymore. Can you talk about your motivation before and after carnivore? Like, is it like a day and night difference?
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, I've always been like a very motivated person on my own. So like I said, with finding carnivore, I just dove right into it and watched everything I could get my hands on. But I've kind of always been like that with everything. And the last several years of being a vegetarian, it's like it almost changed me into like a totally different person, where I didn't even feel like myself anymore because I don't know, I'd go into work and I just would like look out at the store and just think like I can't do this. And I don't know, even after I quit my job with raising the kids, my husband would go to work and I was a stay-at-home mom. And I would just like wake up in the morning and look at everything that I had to do for that day, whether it was taking care of the house or cooking or cleaning or even just, teaching the kids because we homeschool. We started pretty early. And it just seemed insurmountable to me. And that's just not who I am. as a person. And that was a major factor in switching, since I had to get my life back, basically. So, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's funny too, you were saying how like vegetarians and vegans and then carnivores are at the opposite end of the spectrum. And it's funny because it's like, yeah, in a sense, but also I found that not so much, because I feel like the way we eat now, especially when we get a lot of our stuff from like local farms and things like that, it actually does a lot less harm to not only the animals but the environment and things like that. So it actually aligns quite a bit with where I started. So I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right about that. Um, Jade, so when you switch to carnivore, like the benefits and the effects, like did you pretty much experience them like gradually, like the anxiety, like being lifted? Oh wait, like something is like uh, going away from my body, or like did you experience them gradually, or was it like instantaneous?
Yeah, it was dramatic. I like I mentioned on Dave's show that there was a moment when we went to the zoo, and I just like I had all this energy. I was just looking around and I looked at my kids and I was like, I just want to run and jump, and like I just it was like explosive, and all my anxiety. I remember just waking up one day and it was just like, I don't know, like a veil had been lifted. It was just gone, like poof, like some kind of, I don't know, intervention from God or something. It was absolutely mind blowing. And all I can think now is that I just wish I had known about this when I was like a teenager, because I had such bad social anxiety. And later, even, it got so bad that like I had to have FMLA so that if I had like a panic attack, I could leave work. And well, okay, so I lost my driver's license because of I just it's anything official that I had to do, whether it was like making a phone call or going to the BMV or anything like that, or even just going into a store by myself, gave me so much anxiety that I would just procrastinate on those things so much. And my license expired right before COVID happened, and then they closed down all the BMVs. But since it had been like a month between my license expiring and the BMVs closing, I fell right outside that window where they like excuse you. So I just didn't have my license anymore, and I had to redo the entire test, which I just did actually this year. So I'm pretty proud of myself. Um, but yeah, it just gave me so much anxiety to even go in and take the test that I just put it off for years, and now I don't have that problem anymore. So it's pretty uplifting.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So I guess just touching back on the motivation part. What motivates you now? Like I guess with the me, I like to talk about the carnivore and then spread the whole message. Whoever's looking for healing, sort of like not happy with the conventional approach and nutrition. Maybe I can make some sort of a influence or a change. But what about for you? Yeah.
um, I think it's probably just, you know, maybe not like influencers or anything, but like the average person who's suffering and doesn't know that it can get better. Like I actually started a business just this last year because I've been so passionate about animal products in general that I started a soap, like a tallow based soap company. And well, I say tallow based, but we also use like eggs and milk and lard and things like that. Just because, when my second son was born, he was very small, and he is the only kid I ever had to take to the hospital for anything. And he just wasn't as healthy in general as the first one. And even the first one had problems. So I guess a lot of it is for my kids. And we found that, animal products just basically solved everything for us. So that's why I started the business too, because I just want to basically let everybody know that, it can change. You can, and it's really not that hard either, which I found really surprising that really all it took was eating meat and using tallow, and like all our issues basically went away. We had like complete freedom to just be happy and motivated and, you know, live our lives the way we want to.
Yeah, that's actually very beautiful. Yeah. So I guess looking back at your journey now, were there any mistakes with the carnivore? Like maybe like with me, I think I had a couple of mistakes in the beginning. I was still using like seed oils when I was cooking, but I'm eating a
Yeah.
lot of meat. Those were some of my mistakes. But what about for you? Did you made any mistakes?
Biggest mistake was not starting sooner. I'll say that. But yeah, also, I'd say there were still times where we like eat at a restaurant or something, and it's like, yeah, we get ribs, but there's seasoning on there, and who knows what they cooked it in, that sort of thing. Which I actually noticed during the summer because I started to get a little bit of a sunburn. And I was like, oh, seed oil snuck in because I don't burn anymore. So, which is crazy because I'm like 70% Irish or something. So my whole life I've been a like if I'm in the sun for 5 minutes, I'm beet red kind of person, and I don't burn at all anymore. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, definitely watching restaurants and that sort of thing. Which when we go out now, if we go out, it's very rare. We go to let's see, there's B Dubs and Steak and Shake because they both cook in tallow, and we have a very limited menu we can choose from. But every once in a while.
Yeah, you're right. I think going out is sort of a challenge. Yeah, with the health issues you've had and your kids also, did you had like any assumptions what was causing them before even finding out carnivore? Because I know you talked about like, yeah, I've been eating healthy, but like I'm kind of like you're questioning it, right? Like why are we having
Yeah.
this issue like cavity, with your toddler, and then
Hmm.
I have this anxiety, and then maybe some specific food trigger, or maybe it's genetics, or maybe stress. Did you had many assumptions?
Yeah, well, so my second born also, like I said, he just all around wasn't quite as healthy. And at 6 months old, he developed eczema really badly on his legs. And we had to like keep him in the footed pants all the time so he wouldn't scratch himself. And it was just torture watching him go through that. And I figured it had to be a gut issue. So I remember looking into like the GAPS diet first, and it was just so complicated. You have to like ferment all these things and like slow roast all this stuff, and there's very specific like vegetable lists and things like that. And I was like, this is so complicated. Like I don't even know how to start doing this. And so we started cutting out some things. We found out that eggs were a trigger for him. And it's funny too because after I was pregnant with him, I also developed an egg allergy where I would get really bad stomach cramps. And I was like, okay, something is going on with our guts, even though we're eating all organic fruits and veggies. I learned how to make sourdough, so any bread we were having was like ancient grain, long fermented, all this stuff, and just none of it was helping. So that I just kept looking, basically, because I knew something was messed up with his gut, and probably the rest of us too, if his was. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's also many cases with carnivore. Like we've all experienced the improvement, but at the same time, like like for me, I'm still working on the last 5% of my skin issues. So still trying to figure out like, is this it could be egg, right? Or it could be
Mm.
one of the meat. It could be pork. So yeah, it's like a continuous process. I guess I'm educating myself continuously. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, what helped him the most, I think, well, I mean, aside, I think that getting the diet right was a very good basis. Although they're not 100% carnivore, they still have a few other little things. Like, for instance, my oldest, his favorite food is hot dogs, and he doesn't like have bread or anything with it. But I will give him some of that unsweetened ketchup, so he likes that. But so they have a couple other things. But so we started doing Dr. Davis's El Rudere yogurt, and that cleared up, like, basically eliminated my second born's eczema almost like entirely, and it eliminated the egg allergy too. And he's even had wheat sometimes since then, and he has no reaction anymore, where it used to flare up his eczema really bad. So now we can actually, like, everyone's like on their birthday or something, I can actually make them something that the other kids at their party will enjoy, but isn't as bad. But I know that he won't have like a torturous reaction anymore, because we used to have to be so careful about what he ate. It was hard.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because I have kids too, and I also worry about like when we go to parties, like some
Mhm.
reactions because my kids had eczema, but one of them is eating a lot more meat now, and then the other one is not. So I'm seeing the
It's
reaction in the
hard.
other one. I'm not seeing much reaction in the other one. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. It's hard. Hmm.
yeah.
So what to
Although,
say? Typical. Go ahead. What was it?
oh, I was gonna say just that. Although we've been pretty adamant about teaching them what is, like the natural human diet, especially because they love animals too. So it's very easy to be like, oh, this kind of animal eats this thing, and this kind of animal eats this thing. This is what people are meant to eat. So yeah, you can have a piece of fruit, but it's not good for you at all. So like they know very much what is like treat kind of, and what is actually foundational nutrition. So they're usually pretty good about making good decisions. So
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. Um, you know, because I might be biased now. Like I'm thinking this is the most optimal diet, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
yeah.
So Jade, what does a typical day of eating look like for you now and the family? Do you guys pretty much keep it consistent? I know you mentioned they're still working on trying to be a carnivore. Like, do you guys switch things up? Maybe you can walk me through your weekly or maybe daily.
Let's see. Well, we do bacon every morning without fail. Let's see. And a lot of the times, I really don't eat in the morning. Um, Especially, I've been so busy with the business that like I tend to just eat once at the end of the day, once everything is kind of over. But we always do bacon in the morning. I make them a raw chocolate milk with egg yolks, and it does have a little cocoa powder and like a maybe a tablespoon and like a whole big jar of it of maple syrup. But the rest is, like I said, raw milk, raw egg yolks, desiccated beef organs, a little bit of potassium and salt, that sort of thing, and they love that. So they have that every day. Let's see. A lot of times we do the carnivore pancakes, so just the eggs and cream cheese, and they really enjoy those. Let's see. My husband and I tend to just do steak or burgers most of the time. It's pretty easy. um, or I don't know. Occasionally we switch it up. Like last night we did chicken thighs in crusted in pork rinds, because one of mine is very into chicken right now for some reason. So he really liked that. Um, Yeah, I mean, honestly, when we go to the grocery store, we pretty much just look for whatever meat is on clearance and throw it in the freezer and pull from that. So I think we've got lamb in there right now and ribs and, you know, just pretty much anything on clearance. We're not too picky.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, you guys are have some really cool things here that you mentioned, like the carnivore pancakes. I think that's pretty cool. And you
Yeah,
mix
the
it
kids
with the raw
love those.
chocolate milk powder. Yeah, for the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were so used to eating, all your standard, like, they also, it's funny too, they actually also eat pork rind cereal now, which I saw from Courtney Luna. And he, like, my oldest in particular, he loves it. I'm like, okay, why not? Like, all right. I'm not giving you real cereal, so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think my son was saying that because he's been consuming a lot of meat, that like his cravings for like chips have gone like yeah, have kind of like went away. So I was like, he was asking me like, Dad, what did you do to me? You know. So
Oh my gosh. That's perfect.
yeah. Jade, what's the hardest thing about being carnivore for you? Examples would be for me, right? Like social gatherings with family and friends who are non-carnivore, the travel, like you have to scout. Like I think you mentioned restaurants earlier, right?
Yeah.
The cravings that took me like over a year to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
What about for you? What is the hardest thing?
Um, I think probably, and it would probably be easier if we had the kids on a more strict diet, but like we tend to, because I don't like to waste food. So if they have something that's like, oh, they put a couple chocolate chips on that, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna throw it out, and I can't give it to the dog because it was chocolate. So I feel like that kind of keeps me in a cycle of every once in a while getting those cravings back, because I'll, every once in a while they won't finish something, and it's like, well, okay, you know. But I I don't know. Even so, though, I've been able to do a lot of experimenting this year, and I've been able to figure out, like, okay, um, for example, if I have any tomatoes at all, my asthma just kicks right up. So it's nice to be able to see exactly what food does what. And I found that most things, even if I have a bite or two that's left over of something, it won't really give me cravings. But there are a couple things that are harder. So yeah, I think it's really just trying to keep as strict as possible and still not wasting anything. That's yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So like with all the benefits you've mentioned, like having boosted energy, like better energy throughout the day, right? What is the best thing for you now? Like for me, has been that I've been able to sleep, like a quality good sleep. Like for you, what about for you?
Well, honestly, sleep has never been a problem for me. I've always joked that sleeping is one of my favorite activities, but I it's honestly probably over every, because I mean there's so many little improvements that happen, like my hair started growing in thicker, like my skin looks better. I dropped that extra weight like it was nothing. I also, like, after I had I have a 9 month old right now, and we we have home births, and I basically, when he was born, I was like planning, I was like, okay, he's my fourth. I might be a little bit harder postpartum. And I think within 2 days, I felt completely back to normal. So, like, that was incredible. That had never, even with my third, because I wasn't fully, that was when we had just transitioned fully to carnivores right after he was born. And so that one, it was still pretty quick then, but like this last one was just a breeze. So easy. So I think that is just one of my favorite things about it. Like almost like anything physically taxing that would have been kind of hard to endure before is just, I mean, it's like not even a thought anymore. And like I gained back, so I used to work at a bookstore, and at that time I was really active. I was like going down, we have a local gorge near where we live where it's just cliffs and rock climbing and all kinds of stuff. So I was all week running around carrying huge boxes of like records and books, and then on at night I would go home and play DDR, and then on the weekends I'd drive a couple of hours down to the gorge and go rock climbing. And I since then obviously I became a stay-at-home mom, so like I had lost a lot of like muscle that I had and stuff, and it just came back without me having to do anything for it. It was That was pretty great because I've been fairly strong my whole life, and it's very discouraging when you go to lift something and you're like, I can't, I can't do this anymore. Like what? So, yeah, I'd say that the strength and the energy are probably just the best things ever. And honestly, it's hard because the lack of anxiety has just been absolutely life changing too. So, I don't know. There's so many things I can't. I'm sure people in my life get really annoyed because I really can't stop talking about how great it is and try to encourage other people to try it. But people are going to do what they're going to do. So
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like yeah, with all the bands, I would just like hit all of the above. Yeah.
yeah,
So
every
Jade, yeah, if you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, what one word would you describe it and tell me why?
oh gosh, one word. It's going to be hard in one word. I I guess elation would be the word. It's just I don't know. It just makes every aspect of life better, and I just it's like I wake up every day elated, just happy to be here and doing what I'm doing, and I don't know. It's just I'm so happy now. Like I thought I was happy before, but I'm really happy now.
Yeah, that's really cool. So how long you been carnivore now? It has it been like 2 years or so?
Yeah, just this summer it's been about 2 years, so I'm excited to
Oh
see what
wow.
the future holds for it. Yeah, I'm still kind of a newbie, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like
pretty
I can
awesome.
expect good
Same here.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So knowing what you know now about the nutrition, the lifestyle, if you can give an advice to someone who's maybe had a similar issue like you with the anxiety, right? And then they also had asthma, but at the same time, they're super skeptical about the whole heart, failure, heart disease, but they're very curious to try it too. So, what would you tell them now?
I'd say just go for it. Put a time limit on it. Be like, I'm going to do this for 60 days or something. Because I mean, you're not going to develop heart disease in 60 days. Like, it's just not going to happen. So, put it, like I said, put a time limit on it, try it out, see how you feel, and just, I feel like once you do that, you're not going to go back, at least not fully. But
Yeah, that sounds pretty nice. What about for the people who are, let's say, maybe over a year carnivore? Like, what suggestion? I think there has been like things going on with people who's been carnivore like more than a year, like they're gaining weight back, or maybe they're losing some nutrients, or they're unsure. What would you tell them?
I say probably, do the same thing as you do in the beginning. Start playing around with it, see what works. Um, I don't know. It's funny too because I actually did gain like a little bit back, but it was after pregnancy, and I'm still breastfeeding. So I feel like in this season of life, I feel like it's probably beneficial to have a little bit of that, and I'm not like it's my body composition changed so much that I'm not like uncomfortable anymore in it. So it's very weird, but maybe just look at all the aspects of what's going on, and there's stuff too that could be totally not related to diet at all, like outside stressors and things like that. So I'd say just look at every aspect. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think example for me would be like eating dairy. I think that made me gain weight back, and then when I cut it from time to time, I don't gain weight. I mean, I only gain like 2 pounds, maybe like 4 pounds, and then it would go away. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I like what you said about play around with it, and there's more to it, and look at all the other aspects. Jade, my last question to you is your future outlook. How do you see carnivore in the next maybe 5 to 10 years? Do you see it being in the good light, the bad light? The bad light meaning maybe we'll see censorship in the media, false information. I feel like we're going through that right now, right? Like misleading
Yeah.
information about carnivore. And the good thing is that the good light meaning we'll see more healing journeys, right? More people talking about it, like my podcast, more people doing the same thing. What are your thoughts on this?
I honestly think that it's not something that can really be stopped. I think the more people that try this and come out to talk about it, the better. Because I feel like it's not, they can't keep it out of the public forever. And I think once people really feel the difference, there's just going to be no stopping it. So, try as they might, you know,
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's gonna be stopped, but and I don't think it's gonna be stop the whole other diets either. But I think it's a movement that cannot be stopped. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Jade, if people want to reach out or connect with you, where's the best place they can reach you?
Well, I'm a Luddite at heart, so I don't really have much like personal social media, but I do have everything social media wise through my business. So it's called Sarah Jade Soap Co. And I have, let's see, I've got a website, just sarahjadesoapco.com, and I have a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I think even a Pinterest, although I never pay attention to that one. But even on my website, I've got a contact page where I mean, you can make special soap orders, but I also have on there that I would love to hear from fellow carnivores if they want to talk about their journey or just chat or whatever. So, because I'm always excited to talk about it. Basically, it absolutely changed my life forever. So, how can you not be passionate about that sort of thing? So,
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm gonna make sure to post all of them in the description so people can
yeah,
reach you. Jade, thank you again for joining me. I really enjoyed hearing your story and your carnivore experience. I appreciate you taking the time to share. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for having me.